Okay, so picking up where we left out last time, we are on Genesis 18. Like I said, some places will be random because I'll be running around. I'm going to have a very busy week this week, so whenever I get a little opportune time, I'm going to squeeze this in. So we're on Genesis 18. The Lord appeared again to Abraham near the oak grove belonging to Mamre. One day Abraham was sitting at the entrance of his tent during the hottest part of the day. He looked up and noticed 3 men standing nearby. When he saw them, he ran to meet them and welcomed them by bowing low to the ground. "My lord," he said, if it pleases you, stop here for a while. Rest in the shade of the tree while water is brought to you to wash your feet. And since you've honored your servant with this visit, let me prepare some food to refresh you before you continue your journey." "All right," they said. "Do as you said." So Abraham ran back to the tent and said, "Sarah, hurry up. Get 3 large measures of your best flour, knead it into dough, and bake some bread." Then Abraham ran out to the herds and chose the tender calf and gave it to his servant, who quickly prepared it. When the food was ready, Abraham took some yogurt and milk and the roasted meat and served it to the men. As they ate, Abraham waited on them in the shade of the tree. "Where is Sarah, your wife?" the visitors asked. "She's inside the tent," Abram replied. Then one of them said, "I will return to you in about a year's time, and your wife Sarah will have a son." Sarah was listening to the conversation from the tent. Abraham and Sarah were both very old at this time, and Sarah was long past the age of having children. So she laughed silently to herself and said, "How would a worn-out woman like me enjoy such a pleasure, especially when my master, my husband, is also old?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh? Why did she say, can an old woman like me have a baby? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return back at this time next year, and she will have a son." Sarah was afraid, so she denied it and said, "I didn't laugh." But the Lord said, "No, you did laugh." Then the men got up from their meal and looked around toward Sodom. As they left, Abraham went out to see them and send them on their way. "Should I hide my plans from Abram?" the Lord asked. For Abraham will certainly become a great mighty nation, and all the nations on the earth will be blessed through him. I have singled him out, so that he will direct his sons and their families to keep the ways of the Lord by doing what is right and just. Then I will do for Abraham all I have promised. So the Lord told Abraham, "I have heard a great outcry from Sodom and Gomorrah because of their sins is so flagrant. I am going down there to see if there's any action, see if their actions are as wicked as I have heard." It says, "If not, I want to know." The other men turned their heads towards Sodom, and the Lord reminded with Abraham, approaching him and said, "I will sweep away both righteous and wicked. Abraham said, "Suppose I find 50 righteous people living there in the city. Will you still sweep it away and not spare it for their sake? Surely you wouldn't do such a thing, destroy a righteous along with the wicked. Why would you treat the righteous and the wicked exactly the same? Surely you wouldn't do that. Surely you wouldn't judge all of the earth for what is right, all of the earth to do what is right." And the Lord replied, If you find 50 righteous people in Sodom, I will spare the entire city for its sake." Then Abraham spoke again, "Since I have begun, let me speak further to my Lord. Even though I am but dust and ashes, suppose there is 45 righteous people rather than 50. Would you destroy the city for the lack of 5? And the Lord said, "I will not destroy it if you find 45 righteous people there." Then Abraham pressed his request further. Suppose there was 40, and the Lord replied, I will not destroy it for 40, for the sake of 40. Please don't be angry with me, my Lord. And Abraham pleaded, let me speak. Suppose there was 30 righteous people that are found. And the Lord replied, I will not destroy it if you find 30. Then Abraham said, since I have dared to speak at the Lord, let me continue. Suppose that there is 20. And the Lord replied, then I will not destroy it for the sake of 20. Finally, Abram said, Lord, please don't be angry with me if I speak one more time. Suppose there is 10 found that are there. And the Lord replied, then I will not destroy it for the sake of 10. When the Lord had finished the conversation with Abram, he went on his way, and Abram returned to his tent. And then we are now going into Genesis 19. Genesis 19. That evening 2 angels came to the entrance of the city of Sodom. Lot was sitting there as he saw them, and he stood up to meet them. Then he welcomed them and bowed his face down to the ground. My lords, he said, come into my house and wash your feet and be my guests for the night. You may get up early in the morning and be on your way again. Oh no, they replied. We're just spending the night here at the city square. But Lot insisted, so at last they went to his house with him. Lot prepared a feast for them, complete with fresh bread made without yeast, and ate it. But before they returned for the night, all of the men of Sodom, young and old, came over to the city and surrounded the house. They shouted to Lot, where are the men who came to spend the night with you? Bring them out so we could have sex with them. So Lot stepped out and talked to them, shutting the door behind him. Please, my brothers, he begged, don't do such a wicked thing. Look, I have I have 2 virgin daughters. Let me bring them out to you. You can do with them as you wish. But please leave the men alone, for they are guests in my house under my protection. Stand back, shouted the men. And the fellows came into this town as an outsider, and now he's acting like our judge. We'll treat you far worse than those men. And they lunged towards Lot and broke the door. Lot to break the door down. But the 2 angels reached out, pulled Lot into the house, and bolted the door. Then they blinded the men that were young and old, who were at the door of the house, so they gave up trying to get inside. Meanwhile, the angels questioned Lot. Do you have any relatives here in the city? They asked, get them out of this place, your sons, your son-in-laws, your daughters, or anyone else, for we are about to destroy this city completely. The outcry against this place is so great, and it has reached the Lord, and he has sent us to destroy it. So Lot rushed out to tell his daughters, fiancés, quick, get out of the city, the Lord is about to destroy it. But the young man thought he was joking. At dawn the next morning, the angel became insistent. Hurry, they said to Lot, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here. Get out of here now, or you will be swept away with the destruction of the city. With Lot still hesitant, the angel seized his hands and his wife's hands and his 2 daughters' hands and rushed him out safely out of the city, for the Lord was merciful. When they were safe out of the city, one of the angels ordered, run for your lives and don't look back, or stop anywhere in the valley. Escape to the mountain, or you will be swept away. Oh no, my lord, Lot begged. You have been gracious to me and saved my life, and I have shown you, and you have shown me such kindness. But do not let me go up into the mountains. Disaster would catch up to me there, and I would soon die. So there's a small village nearby. Please let me go there instead. And don't you see how small it is? And it says, then my life will be saved. All right, the angel said. I will grant your request. I will not destroy the little village. But hurry, escape to it, for I will do nothing until you arrive there. This explains why the village is also known as Zor, which means little place. Lot reached the village just as the sun was rising over the horizon. Then the Lord rained down fire fire and burning sulfur. Other texts say fire and brimstone from the sky on Sodom and Gomorrah. He utterly destroyed them, along with the other cities and the villages of the plains, wiping out all of the people and every bit of vegetation. But Lot's wife looked back, and as she followed behind him, and she turned into a pillar of salt. Abraham got up early the next morning and hurried out to the place where he had stood at the Lord's presence. He looked out across the plain towards Sodom and Gomorrah and watched the columns of smoke rose from the cities like smoke from a furnace.
Right?
But God had listened to Abram's request and kept Lot safe, removing him from the disaster that engulfed the cities and the plains. Afterwards, Lot left Zoar because he was afraid of the people there, and he went to live in a cave in a mountain with his 2 daughters. One day, the oldest daughter said to her sister, "There is no man left anywhere in the entire area, so we cannot get married like everyone else. And our father will soon be too old to have children. Come, let's get him drunk with wine, and then we will have sex with him." It says, "That way we will preserve our family line through our father." So, that night, they got him drunk with wine, and the older daughter went in to have intercourse with her father. He was unaware of her lying down or getting back up again. The next morning, the older daughter said to her younger sister, "I have had sex with our father last night. Let's get him drunk with wine again tonight, and you will go have sex with him." It says, "That way we will preserve our family line through our father." So that night, they got him drunk with wine again, and the younger daughter went to him and had intercourse with him, and he was unaware of her lying down and getting back up again. As a result, both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their own father. The older daughter gave birth to a son and named him Moab, and that became the ancestors of the nation we know as the Moabites. And then, when his younger daughter gave birth to her son, she named him Benami, and he became the ancestors of the nation we now call the Amorites. And that is the end. We're going to stop there. That is Genesis 19:38, and then I will continue with the notes. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Mom,
Wait.
how long was